okay? In addition, the replay of today will be up for 24 hours until 11 a.m. tomorrow, and then it's going to go away. It's going to be gone. So make sure that you share this with everybody in your team. Make sure that they watch this. Third is if you want to get lifetime recordings of the entire 7 days, you can still go here and get that. You'll get video, audio, and the notes for this entire event. You can go get that, GoProRecruitingChallenge.com/lifetime-access. You get all of it, okay? So that's, we're going longer. We still have Pete Vargas. We still have Pitbull. We still have Sylvester Stallone. We still got Rachel Pekarik coming up. It's going to be awesome. Going to be amazing. Okay? Will you please make Pete co-host so he can share his screen? I think he's able to do it. VirtualGoPro.com for your tickets if you don't have it already. And Pete Vargus has been, like Pat, he works with Pat Quinn a lot. And if you enjoy Pat, one thing as I'm introducing Pete, hold on 1 second. As I'm introducing Pete, I want to ask all of you, who's been your favorite so far during the challenge? And if you can't pick one, pick three. Pick three. Okay, I'm gonna give you all the people. Like a million years ago, we had Emily Vavra and Jefferson Santos on day one. There's Marie Forleo, Tony and Sarah Zalecki, Whitney Husband, day 2. Pete Vargas and Jesse Lee Ward, day 3. Dean Graziosi, Tom Chenault, and Danian Fire and Stefania Legato, day 4. Fraser Brooks, Ann Fisher, Brian Carruthers, day 5. Les Brown, Jordan Adler, Ricky and Francoise Untermeyer, and Trent Shelton, day 6. We giving you value or what? And today, Stormy Wellington, Pat Quinn, John Haremza, Armand Smirnix, Grant Cardone, John Maxwell, and we've still got Rachel Pekarik, Pete again, and Pitbull and Sylvester Stallone. So put your top 3 or whoever you show some love. Every single person, if you're on here watching this thing for free, for crying out loud. Put your love into the comments. Let them know. Send them your appreciation. Tell them thank you. These people didn't have to help you. You're not, helping them other than they're able to contribute and that makes them happy. Show them your love. Put it in the comments. Show them your love. All right, so Pete Vargas, this guy is also, teaches you how to tell your story, how to advance your reach, and that's what we're all trying to do with recruiting, is to advance our reach. And Pete, I'm going to let you take it from here. Blow their brains out with the information that I know you're going to bring. Thanks for doing it.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here, man. Hey, guys, listen, I'm going to share a strategy that none of the leaders backstage or anybody watching on Facebook knows how to use to start recruiting more people. If I would have used this strategy back in college, I shared this on day 2. This profession got me through college. It got me through college. And I'm actually going to share a recruiting strategy today, right now, for about 20 minutes. That I'm telling you, I've seen a lot of the speakers, a lot of the recruiters this week, and it does not matter. It doesn't matter. I really believe I was on the same day as Jesse Lee. I believe Brian. I believe Sarah and Tony. I believe John. I got to see Ann. She was phenomenal. I'm telling you, this is a strategy that allows you to reach a market and masses that you've never known possible. Most of you don't know this is possible. And I'm about to give you something that literally can become one of your biggest recruiting tools that exist. And 99.9% of people in this profession aren't using it today. Does that sound good? Does that sound good? Cool. Hey guys, backstage, I see you on Facebook. I see all of you here. I'm excited to be here with you. Let me tell you something that separates you from a lot of people. I know it's been a long day, but a lot of of people never make it to the fourth quarter. You guys realize that we're in the fourth quarter right now? We're in the fourth quarter. I see the leaders who are back here still learning. They're still learning. They don't have to be here. You realize most people never get out of the bench, off the sidelines? Like, most people sit in the crowd. A few people make it down to the field to even play in the game. A lot of people go into halftime saying, I'm calling it quits for today. I'm not feeling too good. And right now we're in the fourth quarter. And you guys are in the fourth quarter with us. And I want to commend you because that says something about you. I don't know about you, but I got 4 kids upstairs right now running around in between things. And so do all of you at home. A lot of you have kiddos or puppies or dogs or pets or, you know, a spouse who's like having another kid. I know that because I'm like my wife's 5th kid. But you're in the fourth quarter here. And we're going to finish the Stay Strong today. And so today I want to share a strategy with you. And Facebook, I'd love to see Facebook. How are you guys doing out there? I see tens of thousands of you still on Facebook watching. How are you guys doing? Backstage, how are you guys doing? I want to share something today that is a strategy that I am so stoked about. And I'm going to share my screen. Got like 6 slides.
Why the chai so straight like
Slides for you, and that's it. I ain't going to be long, but I'm telling you, a lot of you guys are going to be like, wow, why am I not doing that in my business? And I'm going to talk about this thing called the power of stages. Can I see some of y'all backstage? Can y'all see my screen? Can y'all see my screen? I want to talk about the power of stages. There is this idea of putting your message on stages outside of the industry. I'm not talking about MLM network marketing events. I'm not talking about the profession events, okay? If this is the profession events out here, my hand, the amount of events that exist out here in the entrepreneur space, the female empowerment space, the personal growth space, the so on and so forth. If there are millions of events in the network marketing industry, there are hundreds of millions of events that exist outside of the industry and the profession. And guess who needs to have their messages on those stages? You. I'm telling you, I saw Stormy today. I saw John today. I saw Jordan the other day. I saw Ann the other day. I saw Jesse Lee the other day. Like, what they're sharing was not company or product specific. So why would they not take that to somebody else's stage and attract a whole lot of customers and distributors? And that's not just for them, that's for every single one of you listening today. This concept and this idea, I'm going to get to scratch the surface enough to help you go get a win today. However, I'll talk about it deeper at GoPro Virtual. I will go into the depths of this, of how this can become one of the biggest strategies for you in 2021. How do I know? I have booked 25,000 stages across the world, and a lot of you might not know this, but these are our clients. These are our clients right here. Some of them, most of them active today. Most of them are current clients. Eric and Marina, a client of ours. Why? Because of the fact that they're wanting to even get their message out there bigger. But here's what I'm most proud of. I'm most proud of the everyday entrepreneurs who you wouldn't know. How many of you did not know Pat Quinn today? Say yes or no. Did you know Pat? Yes, Pat, or no, Pat? Guess what? I call him a best kept secret. And I think a lot of you are best kept secrets. You might be known in your industry, or you might not be known in your industry and profession. But why doesn't more people in the world know about you outside of the traditional ways in which you recruit? So guess what? I'm talking about an untraditional way to recruit today. Is that okay with you guys? An untraditional way to recruit today. This is a recruiting challenge. I got to give you the recruiting challenge. I got to give you a tip that nobody has talked about today. And oh, by the way, yes, we booked 25,000 stages, but you see that number on the right? I haven't updated my stage yet. I haven't updated my slide in a couple of months. That actually, our students have booked over 100,000 stages since 2018. And the people that I'm most proud that we represent are everyday entrepreneurs who you wouldn't know. Who you wouldn't know. People are making a difference in the world. Don't worry, I'm going to help you understand. I'm going to connect the dots. But here's the question I want to ask you today. This might be, there's 2 or 3 questions I'm going to ask you. This might be one of the most important questions. Does that not look freaking cool right there? Does anybody else does that look cool? Like, I'm going to be on that stage. It's going to be the biggest stage of my life. And I haven't asked Eric or Marina's permission. How does the saying go? Apologize later? Is that how it goes? Somebody help me in the chat. How's the figure of speech go? I'm going to apologize later, okay? You ask for forgiveness later, however it goes. My question to all of you is, I'm going to give, Marina and Eric have entrusted me this week with some of the speakers that you heard. Do you know who we were responsible for bringing in this week? Trent, Pat Quinn, Marie Forleo, John Maxwell. Anybody enjoy those folks? Now here's the problem. They're pretty well known. And a lot of the times people call them to ask them to be on the stage. Well, I called Eric and Marina and said, can I have these speakers come? And they're like, yes, they're friends of ours too. We love them. They hadn't heard Trent, but they had heard from Jesse Lee about Trent. And so they entrusted me with a handful of people that have been on the stage this week. I helped them reference Grant so we could have Grant on this stage this week. Oh, and Dean Graziosi, if I didn't say Dean Graziosi. Now, I'm responsible for a handful of people being on this stage. Could I just ask you guys a favor? I want to put today on the next break, can I put a handful of you on this stage? Is that cool? Does anybody want to be on the GoPro stage in December 11th through 13th? Can that be one of the first stages that I put you on? Is that okay? I mean, I want to see the chat on this. I can't necessarily see the chat, but listen, it's a stage like this that changed my life. It's a stage like this when I was just getting started in my business 5 years ago on a Brendan Burchard stage that launched my business. You know how many minutes I had, Ann? 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
And in those 3 minutes, I was sweating. I was shaking. I had imposter syndrome, but I just put my story out there. And I'll tell you what, on a scale of 1 to 10, it was about a 0, maybe a 1. But I put myself out there. And 3 or 4 people came up to me and said, man, we need what you have to offer. I'm like, what do I have to offer? Like imposter syndrome. And literally that was the launch to my business. And so at the end of today, I'm going to tell you how a few of you are going to get the chance to be on this stage. Marina and Eric have entrusted me, so I'm going to have them, take that leap of faith with me right now. But what I want to talk to you about is the power of these stages. Now, when you think about stages, you're already thinking misconceptions of what I'm thinking. You're thinking professional speaker, you're thinking make a living that way, you're thinking keynote fees, or you're thinking I'm not a speaker and I'm not asking you to be a speaker. I'm asking you to share the value that you have to offer the world. Do you realize that it's possible to talk and not talk about your company nor product? Do you realize all of these recruiters, Brian and John and Jesse and Ann and Jordan and, Tony, they haven't talked about their company. They haven't talked about their product. But immediately I thought, why aren't they on these stages right here? Why aren't they on these stages right here? You see, right now in a COVID world, physical stages are on hold. They're on hold. But digital stages aren't. Digital stages aren't. Let me ask you a question. I want everybody to respond. Do you currently listen to anybody on a daily or weekly or monthly basis? Is there a type of a digital stage in my definition that you listen to somebody Yeah, tell me who it is. Yeah, the Bible. So you listen to the Bible. Okay. What else do you listen to? I want to see this. This is really important. Somebody listens to Tony Robbins or Les Brown. But what type of stages do you listen to? I know that's going to seem weird. Do anybody listen to podcasts? Anybody listen to anyone's stories or lives on social media? Does anybody ever listen to a challenge? Like, do any of you listen to any of that stuff, or is it just me? Is it just me? Like, I listen to it all the time. And do you realize that when I listen to it, and if that person's in my ear enough, Brian talked about a book the other day. That's powerful. I'm going to talk about the fact of you being in somebody's ear on a third-party validated stage, that you just shared a powerful message and they heard you. What begins to happen is they all of a sudden connect with you a lot faster than almost anything else could do for you. Sarah and Tony, I know you guys have been on some as well. And so listen, what I want to encourage you today, this is a strategy that's going to be a little bit new. And I don't care if you're just getting started in the profession, if you have a business that falls into one of those buckets that Eric talked about, stuck, or, you know, how Grant tackled that, or if you're a very successful leader on here. Does not matter what bucket you fall into. I want to encourage you, and I'm going to give you the what, the why, and the how, and I'm going to be done. These are what I'm talking about when I'm talking about stages. What? And I'm not talking about in the industry and profession. Please hear me. There's a whole world. There was a lady a couple of years ago that said, Pete, I just want to be in front of females, but I can't find any stages. And all of a sudden we did a little Google search, and 5 minutes later we found thousands and thousands of stages that she could be on just like that. So there's social media lives. There's challenges like we're in today. There's other people's webinars. There's associations out there that host trainings all the time. There's podcasts. There's summits. There's YouTube channels. There's online media. There's other people's courses and membership sites. There's virtual masterminds going on out in the world. And there's virtual events going on out in the world. Right now. All in the world, everywhere around you, outside of the profession. I cannot stress that enough. I'm talking about outside of the profession. Those are the types of stages that are happening, and there's tens of millions of them. And if I can tell you a secret, my wife is one of the most introverted people that you will ever meet. One of the most kindest, compassionate people you ever meet. She doesn't have the energy of me. Or maybe some of the people you saw. You know what I loved about Brian the other day? Good old guy, just humble, not like charismatic. And I don't mean that in disrespect, Brian. I mean that in like, yeah, it's powerful, but yet Eric had him on this stage. And that's what my wife loves about this. As an introvert, she can talk on a podcast all day long. And every time my wife speaks on a podcast, it brings more people into her world. It brings more people into her world. And I want to tell you that every time you go out and share a message on one of these stages, and I'm going to help you understand how to get on these and why they would even want you. But all of a sudden people connect with you, and they're going to come and want to follow you and work with you and become a customer with you. Or a distributor. If you will do what Pat Quinn taught you at the front end of the day. At the front end of the day. You cannot come and just promote a company or a product. You share your story. Why would they want you on their stage? I'm going to give you the why and the how. Let me give you two whys. Can I give you two whys today? Why they would want you on their stage? They would want you on their stage because you have a powerful story that can serve their audience. And they're gonna bring you in on one of two ways. Do you realize one of the most searched things on Google right now? Do you know what one of the most searched things on Google right now is? Anybody out there on the chat want to take a shot at this? How do I start a home-based business? How do I begin to work from home? I could take a lot of variances of it, and reposition it. Do you know what thought leaders and people out in the world are looking for? Someone to come and say, how do I start a home-based business? Or what does it look like to be successful in a home-based business? Or what are the steps that you take to deciding on a home-based business? Why aren't you the ones throwing that down? Why aren't you guys the ones throwing that down on these tens of millions of stages? Okay, that's the distributor side. Do you see how that could connect recruits back to you instantly? Do you see that? I'm going to give away one of my stages at the end. I have a stage with 151,000 people. I have a stage that the Tony Robbins and the Eric Worreys and many others have been on. I'm going to give that stage away at the end. I'm going to talk about that at the end. That just occurred to me. So we'll talk about that. But then there's the product side. There's the product side. Let's say you have anything with health and wellness at all. You want to know one of the other things that people are asking and requesting for content providers to provide on their digital stages? How do I stay healthy in the midst of COVID? Or take whatever it is that you do, and they're searching for that type of content. So now you could go talk about that. Would you embed your product? Would you talk about, a little bit. For those of you that heard Pat Quinn earlier, I'm telling you, the guy is a machine. A lot of the recruiters who have spoken back here, he has worked with one-on-one. And so there's this opportunity of why they would want you on stages. Let me share this with you. Why do I want you on them? I was on Grant Cardone's stage the past 2 years. And Grant Cardone this last year, he's now hired me back to be on the third year in a row. Grant said this. He got in front of his audience. You know Grant's fun. And Grant said, hey, how much did your ticket cost to come to his event? And people were like, 500 or 10,000. I'm like, 10,000, whoa, 20,000. I'm like, wow. I'm just listening in the background. I'm like, where's he going with this? And then Grant said this, how much do you think it cost me for my ticket? And he said, $8 million. And you could hear the audience just kind of, that's what I paid to put this event on. And I'm thinking, that's the hard cost. He's not talking about his team, his time, the resources. That's the hard cost. And I had this epiphany. You saw the title of what I call this, Other People's Stages. I got up there when I talked about these 11 digital stages. This was pre-COVID, 3 weeks before COVID. So I was also talking about physical stages. And I said, guys, you know the power of being on other people's stages? I said, how much do you think this stage cost me to be on? And everybody started saying, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. I said, zero. Not only do I have a man who's put $8 million into his marketing and his sales just for that event, I've got a man who for 20 years has been building that community. And now, here's the biggest thing I want you to understand. I don't care what bucket you fall in. There's podcasts that have 100 listeners today. And if you're on that, awesome. There's some of these leaders back here that I'm telling you, there's podcasts that got hundreds of thousands of listeners today. Why aren't you on them? But here's what I want to tell you. The reason they'll want you on there is not to recruit. The reason they want you on there is to provide value and solve a problem for their audience. And that's what you do. That's what you do. That's what all of you do. And so listen, how do you win these stages? You start showing them how you can solve a problem for their audience. Oh, I've got a framework that will help people understand how to launch a home-based business. If people buy into that talk, who do you think they're going to buy into to be their upline? You. Or I've got a great talk on how to really maintain your health in a post-COVID world. Yeah, guys, the power of other people's stages is so huge. And so what I want to encourage you to do, this is what I want to encourage you to do. I want you to pick one of these categories. I don't think I'm sharing my screen anymore, am I? I want you to pick one of these categories, and I really want you to make a determination to say, you know what? Do low stakes. Practice low stakes. Go back and listen to Pat in the next 24 hours before this comes down. Go back and listen to Pat and pick one of these and go search it. Women's podcasts, women's entrepreneur podcasts, women's small business podcasts, podcasts from male entrepreneurs or general entrepreneurs. Like, you can look, and there is an abundance. And in 30 minutes, in 15 minutes, in 5 minutes, in 3 minutes, you will begin to see yourself land more recruits and more distributors than ever. This is what I want to say to you is I want to break through a little bit of mindset here for a lot of you guys, because a lot of you probably didn't know me. This was 2 years ago when I was on a stage of 30,000 people right here. My wife was in the stadium, and do you realize that Mexican down there on the far right bottom felt like an imposter? I felt like an imposter because you probably before today could name most of the others. How many do you recognize on that picture right there? How many do you recognize? You probably recognize the majority with the exception of me. I bet you if I ask some of these people, Ann, Jesse, Lee, John, I can see you guys, Brian, you probably name every single person on there with the exception of me. Maybe not one, maybe not two. All weekend long, all my wife and me and my team heard all weekend long through the stadium was, who's this guy? Everybody kept saying, like, who's Pete Vargus? Who's Pete Vargus? And that weekend, this in lieu of the recruiting challenge coming to an end, that weekend in 1 hour on Grant Cardone's stage, I recruited 1,000 new customers in 1 hour. In 1 hour. But I got to tell you, and I'm going to end this the same way I started the other day. But a lot of you feel like that right now. That's exactly what you feel like. That was me making a $1,500 investment into a speak-off at Brendan Burchard's event less than 5 years ago. I invested in VIP. And I was scared to death. I was scared out of my mind. I was over 320 pounds right there. Shaking, nervous, sweating, imposter syndrome. And a lot of you feel like that today. You feel this fear, you feel stuck, you feel like, how do I go to the next level? I know exactly where you feel. And I don't just know it 5 years ago. I knew it the day that I was walking on my college campus when my car had just gotten repossessed and I didn't have money to pay for school. And I started asking myself the question, how am I going to get by? And network marketing did something special for me in college. Did something really special. And also being on Grant stage changed this guy significantly. You know, one of the biggest differences between the guy on the left and the guy on the right is the guy on the left simply invested in himself. He invested in himself when he was scared to death. And I'm so glad that you guys are here on the fourth quarter with us today, because I want to give you a new strategy, but I believe there are new levels for every single person that's left with us here today. Like every tens of thousands, there is a new level that you are intended to go in 2021 to impact a significant amount of people's lives. And not only do I want you to have a new strategy to recruit more people, I want you to have the mindset that it doesn't matter if folks don't know who you are right now. Do not let that stop you from recruiting people. And so, Eric, that's what I want to share with them today. And man, I gotta maintain with the party here.